the most vivid dream that I've ever had. It was frankly frightening.
I'm sure.
I found myself on a mountain running with thousands of other people and an asteroid descending down towards the Earth.
There is a prophecy claim that some believe could soon be fulfilled. The asteroid Apophis is set to pass Earth in the year 2029. Many connect it to Revelation chapter 8, a prophecy that takes place during the Great Tribulation, where a great star called Wormwood falls from heaven, turning a third of the waters bitter and causing many to die. In this video, we are going to look at what the name Apophis means, the late Tom Horn's prophetic dream and Wormwood interpretation, what Neil deGrasse Tyson has said about Apophis, and what NASA currently reports. And just so you know, these are not necessarily my personal views. I am sharing this because it is fascinating and worth examining. I will lay out the prophecy side and the scientific side, and in the end, I would love to hear what you think. First, let's talk about the name. Apophis is the Greek name for Apep, the serpent of chaos in Egyptian mythology. Apep was seen as the great enemy of the sun god, a force of destruction and disorder. So when astronomers discovered a near-Earth asteroid in 2004 and gave it the name Apophis, people took notice. The destructive symbolism of the name only added fuel to speculation, especially because early calculations showed a slim but very real chance of a collision with Earth. Before his passing in 2023, prophecy author Tom Horn shook the Christian world with a claim he believed came straight from God. He said he had a vivid dream of an asteroid descending on the Earth, and when he awoke, one word was impressed on his spirit: Apophis. Horn later connected that dream to Revelation chapter 8, where a great star called Wormwood falls during the Great Tribulation. He went on to argue that Apophis could be that very star, and that NASA was downplaying the risk of its 2029 flyby. Let's listen to Horn himself in his own words.
It's the most vivid dream that I've ever had. It was frankly frightening.
I'm sure.
I found myself on a mountain running with thousands of other people and an asteroid descending down towards the Earth. But when I woke from that dream, and by the way, I have a history with this that goes back to when I died many years ago, and my wife found me dead, no heartbeat, no pulse. She tried to resuscitate me, and that, at the same time, I saw myself standing in front of a brilliant light somewhere. Somehow in my mind, I knew that I was standing before God. I knew that he had told me some things and then said, "You're not going to remember," and he sent me back. And through my life, several times, incidents have happened in which I go to bed, I go back to that place, I see things. When I wake up, I write them down, and so far, they have come to pass every time. And I've talked about them publicly, so it's been verified that I pre-saw these events. Well, this was the same thing. Went to bed, woke up in this place, this terrible strike on Earth with an asteroid. But when I woke up from that vision, sat up in bed, in fact, I almost fell out of bed, and a single word seemed to be whispered through my bedroom, and that was the word Apophis. Now, I knew that there was an ancient Egyptian god of chaos, a chaos dragon, the enemy of light, called Apophis. I also knew that NASA had named a particular asteroid Apophis.
Interesting.
But I didn't know anything about it, so when I got out of bed, I went to my computer and I started immediately doing research into the asteroid Apophis. One thing led to the other. Ultimately, it led to the writing of the book, and I became convinced that NASA and other international space agencies are involved in a cover-up.
How did you link this to Revelation 8? What was the connection there?
Well, Revelation 8 describes, actually, the first four of the trumpet judgments seem to be describing the different aspects of a singular event. The first one describes fire falling down from the heavens, catching the fields and trees on fire, which is exactly what would precede the incoming of a giant asteroid, the incoming debris. The second one describes what appears to be a burning mountain that falls into the ocean and wipes out ships. This is the first part of a giant rock that's breaking apart as it's entering space. But the third one, it calls Wormwood. And this too is like a giant mountain burning like a lamp that falls down. In fact, the Greek word there, a star, fell from heaven. The word star is astron, an asteroid, fell from heaven. And it has the effect of poisoning a third of the Earth's water. And then the fourth trumpet, the sun, the moon, the stars are a third part blacked out, which is exactly what would happen with all the debris kicked up into the atmosphere from the impact of a giant asteroid.
President Trump has a newly formed Space Force, I guess it's called. What's the cover-up that you think is involved in all of this?
Well, I don't think Donald Trump is involved in a cover-up, but I do think he is surrounded by a faith community, and many of those are prophecy believers. And he has wisely allowed his ear to be attuned to some of the things they are telling them. And I know some of these people, and I've been told that they were whispering in his ears about Apophis as potentially being the Wormwood asteroid of Revelation chapter 8. I also note that as soon as they launched the Space Force, the primary reason of the Space Force is mitigation of near-Earth asteroids. So it's directly connected to this effort to defend the planet. But I noticed that the first thing they did was they dedicated a King James Bible at the National Cathedral, and all commanding officers in the new Space Force have to put their hand on that particular Bible in order to be sworn in to duty for office. So they, too, it appears to be recognizing, right, that there's a spiritual dynamic to this.
You go in, we're touching the surface of this, you go into a great deal of the scientific aspect of all of this, but you say really that it's not possible to mitigate some of these asteroids because of the size that they are. I mean, there's nothing that really can be done to...
That's right. Well, Apophis, for instance, is the one that I focus on in the book. It was discovered in 2004 at the Kitt Peak National Observatory. And at the time, NASA and their NEOWISE team felt that it did have enough of a risk of impacting the Earth. And by the way, of all dates, Friday the 13th, right, April 2029, so 9 years from right now. And so they began doing studies around it. Eventually, though, they changed their mind. They said it's going to come very close to the Earth, but it's not going to hit the Earth, except I talked to one of my friends at NASA and another gentleman at the Pentagon that Colonel McGinnis put me in contact with, an impact specialist, and they said if you look at what NASA is saying, they're saying that in 2029 it's going to come so close to the Earth, Apophis is, that it's going to take out the satellites that are in orbit around this planet. And they're the ones that are saying you can't possibly say that a rock this big, traveling 28,000 miles per hour, it weighs an estimated 20 million metric tons. If it hit the Earth, it's going to be equivalent to 65,000 of the bombs that we dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki at the end of World War II. It could literally crack the mantle of the Earth. They're saying that traveling through tens of thousands of miles of space could all kinds of things, other debris could deflect its trajectory, and I believe that it is set to impact the world.
Wow.
In 2029.
That's just a little bit of what's in Thomas Horton's book. It's the Wormwood Prophecy. Thomas, talk to me a little bit about what people can do with regard to this. If something so big could be so catastrophic and can't really be mitigated, but could by other means be accidentally move off course close to the Earth, or off course close to the Earth, what do we do?
Well, first of all, MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, published a paper just last week in which they said Apophis is a greater concern that is being admitted. There are top 100 scientists that say NASA is involved in a cover-up with regard to this. But what can Christians do? Well, one thing, we can use it as an opportunity, because if it does turn out to be wormwood, which is what I personally believe, we can use it as an opportunity to preach the imminency of the second coming of Jesus Christ, because this would be what dispensationalists would call a mid-tribulation event, right? So the second coming could be closer than what most people realize. The other thing is God himself can mitigate what man cannot. Yeah. And in the Bible, there is a pattern where it says that these judgments are going to come. You can see Jonah going up and down the streets of Nineveh, right? This judgment is coming, but when from the pauper to the king, they repented in sackcloth and ashes, God delayed that judgment from coming against Nineveh. So we do know that there's a pattern in Scripture. in which if Christians will pray, use this as an opportunity to point people to Jesus Christ, use it as an opportunity to preach the gospel. And that opportunity is going to increase because in 5 years from now, people with just semi-commercial telescopes are going to be able to look up into space and see it coming.
Wow.
So that was Tom Horn in his own words. He tied a personal prophetic dream to Revelation chapter 8 and concluded that Apophis is wormwood. Whether you agree or not, you can see why his claim stirred so much discussion. His conviction, combined with the asteroid's ominous name and timing, continues to shape how many people view Apophis today. Now let's shift to a completely different perspective. While Horn viewed Apophis as a prophetic warning, astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson spoke about it as a scientific challenge. In this first section, Tyson explains Apophis's 2029 flyby, the idea of the keyhole, and how updated data lowered the early estimates of risk. Listen closely.
So, April 13th, 2029, this asteroid named Apophis, named for the Egyptian god of death and darkness. Named, of course, only after we calculated its trajectory to intersect Earth. If it were not going to hit Earth, we could have named it like Bambi or Tiffany, something non-threatening, right? Freddy, something that it's not hurting anybody. Name that one Apophis. So, we know for certain that Apophis on Friday the 13th, April 2029, it's the size of the Rose Bowl. It'll get close enough to Earth that it will dip below Earth's communication satellites. It'll be the biggest, closest thing ever to come known to come near Earth. The communication satellites are at geosynchronous orbit. It's about 23,000 miles up. This will come in at 18,000 miles. It'll be visible from northern Europe. The Geek Set has already rented the hotel rooms there, so you're out of luck, because they did the math and they knew when and where it was going to happen. It'll look like just a fast-moving, bright object across the night sky, moving at about what speed do I give it? Probably around 10 miles per second. That's hauling. That's fast. So here's the catch. Its orbit remains sufficiently uncertain. Let me back up. In the possible range of orbits it could have on that fateful day, there is an interval range where if it threads that keyhole, we call it a keyhole. It's a several hundred mile range. If its orbit goes through that range, Earth's gravity will be just right. Or rather, just wrong, right? So that it will alter its orbit so that it will hit us 7 years later. So the test is it going to go through the keyhole? The latest estimates are that the likelihood, with updated data, is that the likelihood that it'll go through the keyhole is several in a million. Much better for us than the 30% first estimate or the 1 in 42,000 estimate that had been around for a couple of years.
So Tyson emphasizes that the updated odds are very low, but that is still a model output, not a guarantee. Let's see what NASA currently reports. Here is what NASA officially reports today. After many years of optical and radar observations, they have sharpened the orbit of Apophis so well that as of now, there is no known impact risk for the 2029 flyby. NASA states that Apophis poses no threat for at least the next 100 years, based on the data currently available. On April 13th, 2029, Apophis will pass extremely close, even below many of our geosynchronous satellites, making it a once-in-a-lifetime chance to study an asteroid this large as it passes by Earth. But remember, that confidence depends entirely on current models. What we do not know, or what unexpected forces might come into play, is why some people still watch this closely. So what if the unexpected happens? What if a later measurement or a gravitational interaction alters Apophis's path more than expected. That is why some connect Apophis to Revelation's Wormwood prophecy, because Scripture warns while science only estimates. I am not declaring either outcome, but I do believe it is worth paying attention, praying, and thinking clearly about what this means. So, is Apophis simply a close past science can study, or could it be the Wormwood star of Revelation? I want to hear from you. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Do you think this is prophecy unfolding, or just speculation? And if you found this video thought-provoking, make sure you like it, subscribe for more, and share it with someone who is curious about the intersection of prophecy and science.